Okay. um, Spirit somehow does not want me to do this reading. Why? It's not necessary. Is any of this necessary? I say why, it says it's not necessary. Nothing is necessary when it comes to this. I mean, do we really need to know how Donald Trump's August is going to be? No, we don't. Meanwhile, I don't think he's going to be impeached in August. I think he's going to serve his full term. Spirit says otherwise, but maybe it's not this August. Maybe it's next August. So, if it's not necessary, I need some information. Because it does not want me to do. I tried this reading once, and every single card was confusing, and I think it was did it on purpose. So, because I don't want to do conspiracy theories, but this one was different. The moon landing anniversary just happened, and so I was like, for grins and giggles, let's pull some cards. This was off camera. Pull some cards. The Seven of Swords fell out. The Seven of Swords is the sneaky card. And I'm like, oh, Lord. Here we go. So, no. Okay. Well, I won't do it. How about that? I won't do the reading, but you should tell me, and you're going to tell me why I can't do it. I'm going to pull 5 cards. I'm going to detail. Six of Swords comes back up again. So that's the only answer I need, I guess. We'll put it in the middle. Six of Swords is a transition card. Causes more problems than necessary. See, here's the thing. Like, I'm not convinced I change people's perception on things. If I said the moon landing didn't happen, or the moon landing did happen, I said the world was round, and then I still got somebody who told me, no, it's flat. Okay. Well, you exist on the flat one. I exist on the round one. I didn't... Day and night cycle. I forgot to look that up. The Earth is flat. How do you explain the day and night cycle? Because if this is the Earth, everybody should see the sun at the same time. Not only should you see the sun at the same time, there should be no such thing as night. Because the Earth actually does this. It's like a spinning top. It just goes around like that. And then it turns as well, but then it turns in that wobble form. And then goes around the sun, right? It's an oblique spheroid, so it's kind of shaped like this. It's not perfectly round. There's not actually 24 hours in a day either. It's 23.6 or 56 or something. So there's 23 hours and 56 minutes. They just rounded up to 23 hours and 56 minutes. They just rounded up to 24. So there should be no such thing as a day cycle if it's flat. You should just always see the sun, no matter where you are. If it's turning, then that's all you should ever see. Now, I don't know how they explain the shades of the moon either, or the phases of the moon. Take that for example. The moon, like I said, does not emit light. It reflects light from the sun. But when you see like the crescent moon, that is the Earth's shadow on the moon. The moon is always this. It is never this. It's never like the little half moon thing. It doesn't like shed half the moon and then grow it back. It's always that. The moon's shadow hits it based upon its relation in the sky. And when this moon is, or when the shadow of the earth completely covers the moon, we call that new moon. You can't see it, it's, well, you can see it, but you have to really be looking. And it's just dark. This is why I say it does not emit light, otherwise you'd always see it. It just reflects light. But the earth is between the sun and the moon, therefore you cannot see the moon because the earth's shadow from the sun, the earth's shadow is on the moon. Therefore it blocks the light. When it begins to move, you see phases of the moon, and the moon moves out of the earth's shadow, and then once it's completely out of the earth's shadow, we get the full moon. I said all that to say what? I don't understand the day and night cycle. I'm going to have to Google that one. Even though it's stupid and false, I still need to Google what do they think about the day and night cycle. Because I figured out how we don't all fall off because there's a ring of ice around the earth. And that should be the biggest proponents or biggest opponents of global warming that has ever existed, because you believe there's a ring of ice around the world. If it all melts, we all fall off. So, anywho, so the moon landing, I will not do that reading, I suppose. It's not necessary. Of course it's not necessary. Is any of this necessary? What did I pull cards for then? Yes, I want you to tell me why it's not necessary. Powerless. King of Pentacles. The Magician. The Moon. The Emperor. I didn't need all those other ones. So, basically because I say so. That's basically what this means. There's a transition. This is the not necessary. It's not necessary. That's my spirit. That's its power. I'm not an earth sign, but it is, I guess. It's more stable than I am. Being an earth sign, I need something to ground me, I suppose. And then there is the authority and then the mystic of the moon. Interesting. The moon. I didn't even notice that when I was picking that up just then. There's the moon card. And then the reservation, the holdback, powerless. Okay. So somebody else can do it if they want, but I can't. I'm not. The moon landing. Well, we got to do a real reading in here then. So. Okay. What do we do? Now I got to think. Let's do UFOs. People have been asking me to do what I don't really have UFO cards. They're not programmed for planets and stuff. But no, let me change my verbiage. It's not UFO. It's alien. A UFO is an unidentified flying object. Just because you look up in the sky and don't know what you're looking at does not mean it's an alien. It means it's something you don't know what it is. I seen that the other day. Now, mind you, it's a plane, because I know what planes look like, but I didn't know what kind. It was gigantic. So, I don't know what that is. It wasn't a commercial plane, though, because there's an Air Force base somewhere around here. So I figured it was just one of theirs, but, it was just enormous, like the size of 19 buildings put together or something. So, let's look at space. Is there life out there? Of course it is. It would be egotistical and just ridiculous to think that we're the only things that exist. Is there life out there? Is it like us? Is it in human thinking talking form. Will we ever meet it? Will we ever communicate with it? Will it ever try to communicate with us? Has it tried and we just don't know how to receive it? First card. Three of Wands, preparation. Preparation has now turned into waiting. Like just waiting on the ink to dry. That's pretty much what that is. A peek at the outcome. Seven of Cups. There's either a lot of options or there's some confusion. So we'll see what it says at the end of the reading. Is there life out there? Will we meet it? Will we talk to it? Will we deport it? What's going to happen? Ten of Cups. Unity. Harmony. So we're waiting. There is an effort to contact something outside of the solar system, because there was a, what was it? It wasn't, was it a satellite? I don't know. It was, we were picking up a radio wave, which means technology, from outside of our solar system. Now, mind you, that's just light. So light can come from anywhere, but something has to be sending that out. Because there's, I think, how does it go? It's infrared, ultraviolet, then there's like gamma rays, microwaves, then radio waves, and like it goes up and up and up from there, but it's all light. And so that is highly radioactive light, but it's light. And so it's coming from somewhere. Three of Cups. There's something behind it, though. The Devil. Now that's interesting. Now, when I pulled the Devil for me and my deck, it does not mean evil unless I say it does. And the reason unless I say it does is because this is another thing what I was saying about the tarot class thing. I don't think you can master the tarot. This is just my opinion. Because when you pick it up, it'll tell you certain things. So you still have to listen to what the spirit is saying. As it just told me, I can't do the moon landing reading, so we're doing this. But when I pick up the Devil, it will tell me addiction if it's addiction. It will tell me something evil if it's something evil. But this usually tells me, when it's outside of that evil scope, this tells me raw, primal, and untouched. So how does the Devil translate into raw, primal, and untouched? Because the Devil is about an inherent want. So it's something that's already in you from birth, as in raw. And it is an emotion that needs to be out, as in primal. But it has no outlet, as in untouched. So this person, this is even perfect because it's by himself. So it's a raw and primal and untouched, as in we have not established yet communication with something that was sending out those radio waves or anything else out there. So this in particular frontier has yet to be explored or has yet to have a successful result. So there is nothing yet that has said, this entity out here that sent out the radio waves, or just entity out there, period, has the ability to communicate with us, and we've communicated with it successfully. And, you know, we're trying to set up a dinner date or a lunch down at Barney's or something like that. So there's a lot of times we just find new planets, because there's like over 3,000 planets in NASA's catalog. And what they look for is biomarkers. Biomarkers are things about the planet that lets you know there's life on it. So if you look at a planet and you see the evidence of oxygen in the atmosphere, something is pumping it out. If you see methane, something is pumping it out. If you see nitrogen, something is sending that into the atmosphere. So those are the biomarkers. That lets them know what is actually down there based on what we know from here. Based on what we know, trees put out oxygen. So if you look at a planet far and far away and you see a biomarker that says, oh, there's oxygen there, there's probably some sort of life, some sort of tree, some sort of vegetation based on what we know here, because we don't put out oxygen. We suck it in and push out carbon dioxide. So it's not us that would be there, but it's some sort of vegetation that pumps out oxygen. And so that's what they look for with the biomarkers. And this is a lot of the frontier is raw, primal, and untouched. And then there's the Nine of Cups. So this is the desires and the wants, which is perfect being coupled with this card. So what we want is to explore that frontier. This is the desires to go to the places we've never gone to at the very least send something there or communicate with something out there. The Seven of Wands, that is a perseverance, that is a guard, standing on guard. There is also sort of a waiting with bated breath type of things. Like we are on the edge of our seats when it comes to all we need is a signal that says you're out there. Boom, we got evidence of life elsewhere. The Chariot. You will have it. When? I don't know. Let's see if we can get a win card. King of Swords. 11 years. The Magician. It's in the fear, so that's understandable. So the ability. The Magician is about ability, so that's what's in their fear. King of Pentacles. Or Knight of Pentacles. So there is a reliability that's in the hopes. Also, with the fear, there is also a fear of interference. Like what you don't want is to leave a mark, to leave a stain. Because remember where we are with the raw, primal, and untouched. But there's a desire to go there. There's a desire to mingle. But there is also a fear of changing that in which you mingle with. As we see here on this planet, with the coral reef dying and things like that, we are often very destructive to things we come in contact with. For instance, like this is a moth. If you kill a moth, like on your wall or something, you notice it leaves behind this trail of what looks like dust or something. It's scales, actually, from the moth's wings. So what you see, it looks like dust, is scales. But it also always leaves a trail behind or some sort of marker that it was there if you kill it. So there's a fear of that. The 10 of Swords. Right now we are defeated in every effort to find life elsewhere. That's not a bad thing. That's a thing. That just means it exists. Of course we are, otherwise you'd have heard about it by now. So that's not a bad thing that we're defeated. That means someone's trying. Behind the scenes, yes, the uphill battle. Someone is trying. So that's not a bad thing that we're defeated. That just means this is a method that doesn't work. So let's move on to the next one. The Knight of Cups is in your warning. Don't be so idealistic about, oh, we found a new life. Did it want to be found? Did it want to be found by you? You know, the Assassin's Creed is, by the time you saw me, just understand I've already saw you. So does it want to be found? Did it already see us and said, I'm not fooling with them people down there? So, don't be so fools rush in. There's a tower in your word of solace. God answers all prayers. Sometimes the answer is no. So don't be so quick to the draw, like, oh, we found something, let's talk to it. Caution. So confusion and stalemate. These are really good cards. That means we found something, we don't know what it is. We don't know what to do either. That's not a bad thing. It's a thing. It just means it exists. So they don't know what they found. They don't know how to interact with it, but they will try. Just exercise caution, because if you found it, that means it can probably find you back. Heartbreak betrayal on the bottom. And if aliens act anything like us, let's see. And we don't need to talk to it because we can't even talk to each other. If we find them in these 11 years, I don't know, that number just came to me, we shall see. If we find them, let me do this. Let's do this first. I have a sort of a timing mechanism I use. I pull 6 cards, and the first one and the last one are my numbers. I got 9 and 9, that's 18. Interesting though, I got 1 and 1, which is 11. So there's like one thing, one prominent and one prominent. 18. Or 2 9s. 11, maybe 18. So, if we ever contact them, now I say them like it's one out there, like it's one planet with one life on it. But if we ever come in contact with aliens, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? Are we necessarily the right kind of people that need to be communicating with things smarter than us? Supposedly. Human beings are very destructive. They're destroying their own planet. Very Kryptonian of you. The Knight of Cups. The fancy feeling. The idealism. The 10 of Cups. And that's the harmony. And then the 4 of Cups. That's not being completely satisfied. And then the Queen of Pentacles. That's my Earth card. And then the Chariots. And then the 10 of Pentacles. It's not a bad thing, but don't look for it to be, like if you hear contact made with other planet or life from other solar system or something like that, don't jump out the water with hip hop hooray. Like, it's not necessarily the greatest. Like, it's not the worst. We don't get worst. We don't get disaster. We don't get invasion or nothing like that. But we don't get like, we know what they said. So it can be an exciting thing, yes. It's kind of like the orca in the card. Seeing it jump out of the water is an experience you will never forget if it happens to you in person, to see that. However, when it falls back down, you deal with the wave and the splash. So there is a communication, and you'll happily take the wave and the splash because you made contact. But it's not necessarily like they're going to speak English. Half the people on this planet don't speak English. So it's not like we're going to make, contact with something out there and it's going to understand us. All we're going to basically do is pick up the fact that it's there. And then that's going to be something big for us in the news. So there you go. No moon landing reading, but I put something together for you.